Good evening and welcome to the December 15th meeting of the Goffstown Budget Committee. I'm going to start off with an announcement about remote participation. In accordance with the Governor's Emergency Order Number 12, pursuant to Executive Order 2020-04, the Goffstown Budget Committee will utilize the emergency meeting provisions of RSA 91A to conduct meetings through electronic means while preserving, to the extent feasible, the public's right to notice of such meetings and ability to observe and listen contemporaneously. Public access meeting by telephone. You can call 603-766-JOIN. That's 603-766-5646. Participant code 785-645#. Once again, participant code 785-645#. Problems with access. Members of the public experience problems with access during the meeting are asked to call 603-384-3624. Watch the meeting live on Goffstown Television Channel 22 or on the GTV Facebook page at www.facebook.com/GofftownTV. Facebook will not be monitored for public participation during public comment. Getting some feedback there. If you are not muted, if you could please mute yourself while you're not speaking. All right, go start off with roll call here. Skylar.
Present and alone.
Cordis.
Present and alone.
All right, Greg. Joe.
I'm present and alone.
Thank you. Eileen.
Present and alone.
Jeff.
Present and alone.
Fred. Right. Dennis Lynch. I am here by myself. Spencer Diaz.
Present and alone.
Richard Manzo.
Present and alone.
Elizabeth.
Present and alone.
Jared Talbot.
Present.
Richard Fletcher. Richard Fletcher.
Present and alone.
Present and alone.
All right. First up on the agenda, we have public comment. Is there anyone on for public comment?
Cole, I'm not seeing anyone on the telephone line for public comment this evening. Cole, I'm not seeing anyone on the telephone line.
All right. Thank you. Once again, getting some feedback there. Folks could mute. All right. We have 2 sets of minutes. Someone would like to make a motion? We have the minutes from the 1st and then the minutes from the 8th.
I move to approve.
I will second that.
All right. Are you referring to each? Derek, do we need to have 2 separate votes, I guess is my question.
No, you don't procedurally, unless you might want to have 2 different ones because there may have been some people that were absent from one of the meetings that wants to abstain.
All right, so we'll take them up separately.
Okay.
Any comments or? I'm sorry, Elizabeth.
No, I was just gonna make the new motion, but that's fine. If you don't need it, that's fine.
No, we'll take up one, then we'll take up the other. All right. Any corrections on either sets of those minutes? All right. I heard motion from Elizabeth and a second from Joe. So we'll take up the December 1st meeting minutes first. Skylar. Skylar. All right. Bill Cordis.
Yes.
Greg. Did Greg get on yet? No. Joe.
Yes.
Eileen.
Cole, can you hear
Eileen's
me?
here. Yes.
I can hear you now, yeah.
Cole, can you hear me?
Yes. Yep, just heard you, Skylar.
Okay. Yep, I just wanted to say yes. Sorry about that.
All good. Jeff,
Yes.
Fred? Dennis is on. I vote yes. Spencer Diaz,
Abstain.
Richard Manzo,
Yes.
Elizabeth,
Yes.
Jared Talbot,
Abstain.
Richard Fletcher, on the December 1st meeting minutes. I lost him. Selectman Lemay.
Yes.
And did we lose Richard Fletcher there?
Chief, unmute yourself. You're muted.
His line.
We can't hear you.
Is he still muted
Cole,
there?
I know he said yes. I could read his lips, but
That's funny, Mark.
So I'll just, for the benefit of
All
the, those at home, if you can see, let me see. Oh, I don't know if I can get my screen big enough. I was gonna say the, oh no, it's different, but, Richard, down at the bottom is your mute and unmute button, and if it's not showing, there'll be a little, arrow, a little carrot top to show the control bar. That's how you would, if you click that up, that will show you how to mute or unmute. And what I'll do is I'm going to unmute everybody, and then people can mute themselves. Or nope, I can't unmute everybody. You'll have to unmute yourself.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. All right, great. Thank you, Richard. And yes or no on the minutes for the first.
Cole, if I could interrupt, I'm sorry. This is Greg. I'm late. I'm here. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Greg. And sorry, Richard, I didn't hear yes or no. All right. Hopefully we'll get that figured out. Go start in the roll call for the next set of minutes. Skylar, for December 8th minutes. Skylar,
Abstain.
Bill Cordis,
Yes.
Greg,
Yes, approved.
thank you. Joe,
Yes.
Eileen,
Yes.
Jeff,
Yes.
Fred Platt, Dennis Lynch isn't here. I vote yes. Spencer Diaz,
Abstain.
Richard Manzo,
Yes.
Elizabeth,
Yes.
Jared Talbot,
Abstain.
Richard Fletcher. You're back, Richard. Still not getting you, Richard. Selectman Lemay. Selectman Lemay.
yes, approve.
Great, thank you. All right, hopefully we can figure out Richard's issues.
So Richard,
there.
you had joined twice. We can see your video right now, Richard. So you're still connected to the meeting. I'm guessing you might have a window minimized, so you're not seeing your controls right now or seeing the screen. And I see you've asked to be let into the meeting 2 more times. So I think you've got it opened up multiple times. So I would suggest you completely shut down and then try and get back in.
All right. hopefully we can get that sorted out here. But we'll keep moving on in the meantime. First on the agenda we have is the sewer enterprise.
So Cole, the sewer commission is not going to be participating tonight, but Danielle and I can answer any questions that the board members might have. Danielle was active during the CIP process and worked with Lynn in sewer, and we can try and answer any questions the committee may have about their budget.
Great, thank you. All right.
And they're on tab 8.
All right, I'm looking at page 26 of 27 here. And then it goes on to page 27. So questions there, folks? Questions on page 26 here. I have a question just on the debt services 52190 debt service principal. I'm sorry if I'm forgetting, but what's the history there?
In 2011, 2012, after the recession back then, there were some ARA funds that were made available, and sewer did quite a bit of work down in Pinardville. So that is the debt service related to the work that they did in 2012, 2013, down in Pinardville. They redid quite a few of their lines, some of the older lines down there.
Great, thank you. Any other questions here? All right, then we'll look at page 27. Questions on page 27?
Yeah, this is Jeff O'Brien. Just looking at the back on expenses line 53510. If I'm looking kind of budget to actuals, 2020 budget was $20,000. Year to date, only $2,000. Can you explain why we're still budgeting for $20,000? Is there expenses that come towards the end of the year that we're anticipating to bring that up closer to actuals? And do we anticipate those same kind of charges going into next year?
Danielle, can you give us an up-to-date year-to-date on the VACON expenses? And while Danielle's pulling that, the VACON is shared between the town and the sewer department. The sewer department pays about 25% of the cost of it when we replaced one, or also expenses. I know that last year they had significant repairs to the tank that occurred in 2019. And I believe they had some additional expenses that they were anticipating this year.
That's correct. The year-to-date figure is actually what you see for the actual as of 10/31. No additional repair expenses have been charged to the VACON line. I do know that the Sewer Commission had trouble staffing the VACON this year, in addition to equipment hiccups. They also had some issues with turnover between Public Works and Sewer. So they decided to contract out some of those services late this fall. So they had a consultant come in and help clean some of those lines. And those were charged to the consulting line, I believe.
Further questions there? All right, hearing none. Derek, I believe we need to, do we need to move this to public hearing?
Yes, please.
So I'd be looking
Call
for,
motion to move it.
thank you, was that Joe?
Yep.
Great, is there a second?
I'll second that, Cole.
Great, I heard Selectman Lemay, so motion from Joe, second from Selectman Lemay. Further discussion? All right, hearing none, I'll call the roll here. Skylar,
Hearing none, I'll call the roll here. Skylar? Yes.
thank you. Bill Cordis,
yes,
Greg Flegel,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
Eileen,
Yes.
Jeff,
Yes.
right, I'm not seeing on Dennis Lynch. I vote yes. Spencer Diaz,
Yes.
Richard Manzo,
Yes.
Elizabeth,
Yes.
Jared Talbot,
Yes.
Richard Fletcher. All right. Selectman Lemay.
Yes.
All right. Thank you all for that. Next up on the agenda, we have articles. Eric, do we have folks from either Kristen's house or Main Street on?
Yes, we do have Crispin House on. We also have, it looks like, hold on, I thought I saw, we have Crispin House, we have Main Street. We also have representatives from the library and library trustees, as well as administration and fire department. Those would be all the special articles.
Great. I'm just trying to find my sheet here with stuff. Derek, do you have a just a screen share of the special articles so you could put up?
Yes. Yep. Yes. So this was the special articles. They're on the third page of the packet that was provided. There was a finalized on November 23rd. Again, there are a handful of changes since then. But the first one, the one that's not showing on here is the library trustees. That's the only one that's not shown on here. There was a change that the select board made on December 1st, and that was, or I'm sorry, December 7th, and that was presented to the budget committee last week. But you have Main Street Crispin House, you have the Grasmere Town Hall Capital Reserve Fund, the Fire Apparatus Capital Reserve Fund, And then the proposed positions for the fire department, which that amount has changed, and then the library trustees. So since we have representatives from Crispin House and Main Street, I would suggest that we handle them first, and then we can move on to the other ones.
Great. So Main Street is first in the list here, so we'll take that up first. I'm not sure if folks from Main Street want to introduce themselves first, and then we'll open it up for questions.
Sure. My name's Tracy Hutton. I'm the new executive director. The president would normally be here, but she's been ill, so Ellen is not joining us this evening, but I'd be happy to answer any questions. I know that the board had originally had a larger request than you're seeing this evening, and the selectmen chose to whittle that down. So we've been working on our budget to make up for that so that we can still operate all of the activities that make Goffstown downtown the community area that it is. So with that, I'll answer any questions that you may have about our budget.
Great. Questions for Main Street here?
Hey, Cole, did we get the budget emailed to us? This is Joe. Or is it in a tab in our binders?
I do not recall seeing it.
I don't remember seeing it either. So I guess I don't know.
Traditionally, the budget committee
why
doesn't.
we're voting on something.
We don't actually weigh in on their budget. They are an independent nonprofit, not a town organization. So we simply decide, do we want to recommend to voters to support this or not? But we don't.
Yeah, and I understand that, but I would rather, if we're going to recommend to approve or not, we should at least see what they're spending their money on. I think that would be a general indicator of if we should approve it or not.
And Joe, I believe the Main Street program presented that information to you when they presented earlier at the end of October and November. I'm trying to find, I know that there were handouts that we did distribute to the members. They were here available at Town Hall as part of the packet, and I believe we also sent those out by email, but let me find those.
All right. Other questions? While Derek looks for that.
Hi, Cole. This is Greg Flegel.
Yep. Go, Greg.
Tracy, I'm just wondering what's in the savings account or the checking account of your organization at this time?
Cash on hand right now is just over 150,000. We did have to use a portion of that for operating this year, and we'll be using a portion of that for operating next year. This is really it's our emergency fund, so we don't want to whittle it down completely. And by supporting Goffstown, we think that there should be some support for our organization from the community, given all the community activities we provide and other services to really provide that sense of place to Goffstown.
Cole, I do have that information, and I can share that on the screen if you'd like.
That'd be great.
Again, the only difference is this was their original request that Main Street submitted on November 6th, and that was a $20,000 request. And then the select board made the decision to recommend a $15,000. So let me share my screen. Okay, so this would be their January to their 2021 budget. This is the income portion that you're seeing there. And with the expenses at the bottom, and I believe it goes on to a second page.
Great.
Derek, can you try to bump up that page, see if it'll become a little bit bigger? Thank you.
So I will go down to the bottom and focus on expenses. And like I said, it does go to the second the next page as well.
Questions here?
Yeah, Cole, I have a question. Can Main Street just discuss a little bit about how their programs changed due to COVID and the activities kind of be whittled down? And I apologize, this is partly my fault because I wasn't at this public hearing. But I'd just like to kind of get a little bit more details on that.
Sure. There are some activities I believe that happened before I joined the program, like the golf tournament, which are a little easier to social distance. So we're hoping that that being in the spring is still going to be okay for next year. We've also been providing PPE to some of the shops that are having trouble finding them, and assisting with any questions they have on any of the federal funding or programs that are out there. We also bumped up the grant program for improving the downtown aesthetic from a $500 grant to a $1,000 grant, and we have issued 6 or 7 of those this year. And I believe a list was provided at one point to the selectmen. I don't have that list with me right now. So we've been trying to do as much as we can to support the downtown businesses in their effort to make it through the COVID crisis, and we will continue to do that next year. We're hoping with the vaccine being out now that next fall we're still going to be able to have the regatta. We're going to proceed like we will with sponsorships being, pending having the events. One of the ways that we propose to make up for that $5,000 that the selectmen didn't recommend is to be a little more aggressive with some of our sponsorship campaigns and grant campaigns. Now that there's a full-time executive director on, it's going to be hopefully beneficial to try to make up for that income.
Thank you for that information. Appreciate that.
Further questions? All right. Hearing none. I believe how we discussed doing this at the last meeting was either recommending or not recommending that this go forward to public hearing, which is more of a I don't want to use the term straw vote, but it's more so it's not necessary, but we would like to do it to show the budget committee's support or non-support at the public hearing. Is that correct, Derek?
That's how you've done it in the years past, yes.
Great. So would be looking for a motion.
Cole, this is Greg. I will move to support the select board's recommendation of $15,000 in funding.
Great. Is there a second?
Cole, this is Skylar. I'll second that motion.
Great. Thank you, Skylar. So motion from Greg and second from Skylar to recommend. Further discussion? All right. Hearing none, I'll call the roll. Skylar?
Yes.
Bill Cordes?
Yes.
Just a reminder to folks to mute themselves if they're not talking. Greg Flegel?
Yes.
Joe?
No.
Eileen?
No.
Jeff?
No.
Yes. Wait, did you say me?
Nope, I said Jeff.
Oh, sorry.
And I'm sorry, I didn't hear you, Jeff.
That was a no.
Fred isn't here. Dennis is not here. I vote yes. Spencer Diaz?
No.
Richard Manzo?
No.
Elizabeth?
Yes.
Jared Talbot,
Yes.
Richard Fletcher,
Yes.
Great. Thank you, Richard. Selectman Lemay,
Yes.
all right. So it's 8-5 to recommend. All right. Thank you. And then next up, we would have Crispin's House. Is someone from Crispin's House would like to introduce themselves?
Hi there, this is Diane McCarthy. I'm the Executive Director of Crispin's House. I believe Al Baines is on with me, although I don't see him just now. He was on. But we are here to answer any questions that you have. Our request amount of $20,000 and our handout materials have not changed since we presented to your joint meeting with the Select Board back on November 9th. I understand that the Select Board has voted unanimously to recommend our warrant article in $20,000, for which we are very, very grateful, and we hope that you find you do the same.
Great. Questions for Diane? Any questions for Diane about Crispin's House?
I think they're doing a great job.
Thank you. We work hard. And it's certainly an honor and a pleasure to be doing this work. Love the kids of Goffstown. Love our families.
Hey, Cole.
Yep.
This is Joe. Can I make a motion to recommend to public hearing?
Yes. And is there a second?
This is Eileen.
Great. Motion from Joe, second from Eileen. Any discussion? All right, I'll call the roll. Skylar?
Yes.
Skylar? Great, thank you. Bill Cordes?
Yes.
Rick Flegel?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Skylar, if you could just mute yourself here. Eileen?
Yes.
Jeff?
Yes.
Brett isn't here. Dennis isn't here. I vote yes. Spencer Diaz?
Yes.
Richard Manzo?
Yes.
Elizabeth?
Yes.
Jared Talbot?
Yes.
Richard Fletcher? Richard Fletcher? Richard, I think I saw you come unmuted for a second there. Selectman Lemay?
Yes.
Great. I'm sorry, we'll try one more time, Richard Fletcher. You're definitely unmuted there for a second. All right.
Richard, I don't know what you're seeing on your end. You're logged in 4 times. So if you can try and get rid of some of your, like I said, if you close completely out of WebEx and all of them and come back in, I think that would work better for you.
All right. So we're 12-0. With no vote recorded from Richard Fletcher. All right. Thank you, Diane.
Thank you all very much.
All right. Next, we would have, well, no, sorry. Getting ahead of myself there. Continue on with the special articles. We would have the Grasmere Town Hall Capital Reserve Fund for $100,000. Derek, this would be coming from taxation or
This would be coming
unreserved?
from unreserved fund balance.
Okay. I'm not sure. Did folks have questions about that? I know this committee has dealt with it for a few years now, but I know there's some newer folks here too.
Cole, this is the third of 3 years, right?
Yes, this is the third of 3 years. This is the final deposit.
Okay, so I want to make a motion to send this to public hearing.
What is the amount, please, again?
$100,000.
Thank you.
All right, Joe vote. Yep, Joe vote to recommend, but Selectman Lemay.
I'll second the motion that he made.
Great, thank you. It's in a second from Selectman Lemay. Further discussion?
Cole, this is Jared. Just a quick question from Selectman Lemay. Did we have unanimous consent for this warrant article from the Select Board?
Yes, we did.
Thank you.
This is as the town administrator said, Derek said, this is our third and final year. We now will have enough money to bring this project forward. We're going to start looking for grants, looking for funds to move it forward here shortly after we find out if we get this. But we've been very successful, and we're hoping that the support that we get from the townspeople will allow us to move forward and continue to bring that building back to life.
And I'd add, as the vice chairman of this committee, that it's also the last step to making this something that would generate revenue for the town as opposed to being an expense for the town.
Great. Further discussion? All right. Motion is to recommend the Grasmere Town Hall Capital Reserve Fund $100,000 to be funded by unreserved fund balance. Skylar?
Yes.
Thank you. Bill Cordis?
Yes.
Greg Flegel?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Eileen?
Yes.
Jeff?
Yes.
Is not here. Dennis is not here. I vote yes. Spencer Diaz?
Yes.
Richard Manzo? Elizabeth?
Yes.
Jared Talbot?
Yes.
Richard Fletcher? Richard, I see you unmuted there. All right. Selectman Lemay.
Yes.
All right. 12-0. Still not hearing Richard there. All right. The $250,000. Sorry, it's just capital reserve fund on my sheet. Is that the fire apparatus?
Yes, it is. That is the fire apparatus capital reserve fund, $250,000 deposit from unassigned fund balance.
Cole, I motion to send that to public hearing.
Great. Motion from Joe to recommend. Is there a second?
Cole, I'll second that. Mark.
Great. Second from Selectman Lemay. Any questions, sir? Or discussion?
I think I may have heard. I may not have heard what article we're on, or what the subject of the article is.
It's the fire apparatus capital reserve fund. It's a $250,000 deposit funded by unreserved fund balance.
Great, thank you.
Any other discussion? All right, hearing none, I'll call the roll. Skylar?
Yes.
Yes. I don't call the roll, Skylar.
Bill Cordis?
Yes.
Craig?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Eileen?
Sorry, yes.
Thank you. Jeff?
Yes.
It's not here. It's not here. I vote yes. Spencer Diaz?
Yes.
Richard Manzo?
Yes.
Elizabeth?
Yes.
Jerry Talbot?
Yes.
Richard Fletcher? Did Richard come back in?
He fell off. He hasn't come back on. I'm trying to get him back connected.
All right. Selectman Lemay?
Yes.
Great. 12-0. All right. Dirk, next, I see the proposed positions. Is that the safer?
Yes, that's a safer. I have the fire chief here with us. The board last night voted to move this forward, and I will, while the chief explains, I will provide a copy of the wording of the warrant article as it will appear, because the amount that I had shown you previously has changed a little bit.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, bring that document up there.
Yeah, I'm getting it now.
So just to give the board background, if you weren't at the original meeting or during the budget presentation, I had talked about this in the past. So the SAFER grant that's going to be opening in March of 2021 is definitely unique compared to the ones that have been opened up in the past. As you can see on the document being shared right now, the SAFER grant is fully funded by FEMA funds, where there is no town share for a 3-year period. So essentially my plan, if this were to go through and be approved and we get the grant, would be to offset our current overtime expenditures as well as part-time expenditures with these funds here. So essentially over 3 years, it's approximately $1.1 million that would come to the community, that would come out of our operating budget, or be able to help reduce our operating budget for those 3 years. I am not looking to increase staffing. I'm looking to maintain 4 full-time people and then 2 part-time is our current. So we have 6 people working each day currently. That number would stay the same with this grant. We would just have to use the funds for full-time employment. So the number would go from 4 full-time and 2 part-time to 5 full-time, 1 part-time. Again, being able to reduce our overtime budget. And I think Elizabeth mentioned it a week or two ago where she saw that number is growing and it will continue to grow if we don't do something. So this is a good way to help offset those funds.
Great.
I'll take any questions if anyone has any.
Hi, Chief.
Questions
This
for
is
the
Jeff
chief?
O'Brien.
Yep.
So the wording in this newer SAFER grant will allow you to shift part-time existing employees to full-time. And this is not to hire 4 additional full-time firefighters / EMTs as it's written in this warrant article.
Thank you for the question, Jeff. So if we were to be successful and obtain the grant, we would post the positions for full-time employment. If we had qualified part-time people that went through our hiring process, yes, we would move them to full-time. Sorry, I'm hearing an echo. And if there were no qualified people inside the organization, we would absolutely look for outside people, as we would with any hiring process.
Okay. And are there any stipulations in this grant that prevents you from kind of piggybacking off the previous SAFER grant that was covering for the positions that we already had hired for?
I understand your question fully. Can maybe elaborate a little?
Well, we already did a SAFER grant to bring on 4 additional full-time firefighters. What was that, a year or 2 ago? And obviously those funds from that grant are reducing, as per that grant. So I guess my question is there any stipulations in this new SAFER grant that would prevent us from getting it, as in like we're piggybacking off a previous SAFER grant, getting funds, and now we're obviously getting this additional grant, even though we're still on that previous grant? I guess that's my question.
Thank you for that. No, there are no stipulations. In fact, the department that I used to work for, we successfully were awarded 3 SAFER grants 3 years in a row. So you can have multiple grants at once.
Well, that's good news. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Cool. This is Jared. I'd just like to, Derek, if you can bring that back up, just so that we can look at that article. I just want to make sure I understood correctly. The verbiage in the article says for 4 individuals, but I thought I heard you say 5 full-time individuals and 1 part-time. Do we need to amend this wording to say 5 full-time people?
Thanks for the question, Jared. That might be me confusing you, and I apologize. So the SAFER grant is for 4 individuals. What I was referring to with the 5 full-time and the 1 part-time. So each day at the fire department, we have 6 employees working. Currently, 4 of them are full-time, 2 of them are part-time. If we were successful in getting these additional 4 firefighters, that number would change from 5 full-time each day and 1 part-time. But still totaling 6 employees working per day.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hey, Chief, this is Jeff again. These gross appropriations that this grant is covering, are there any cost to the STE or part-time costs that are not covered, such as since we had that large increase in the New Hampshire insurance costs and obviously like the pension costs and things like that, are all of those costs factored into that appropriation, or are there additional costs that the town may need to cover?
answer it, and if I'm wrong, our finance director is definitely going to jump in and help me. She actually calculated these numbers out with all that information in there, including things like health insurance. And Danielle, if you're there, actually all the wages are in there. FICA, Medicare, retirement, health. So yes, if it did increase, we're looking at it based on numbers today. So that
All
could
right,
change.
and obviously to piggyback on that as well, obviously personnel costs continue to go up each year. And not sure if there's any collective bargaining agreements in place. Is any of that factored into the appropriation costs as well?
So we're going under the current CBA that we have. That CBA is due up next year in 2021. So we don't know what that could or may not be. We have to go by what the numbers we have in front of us today.
Chief, if I can jump in for a second.
Please.
On the numbers. So as the chief said, the numbers are calculated as of the information we have today for all of their benefits, including New Hampshire retirement, their Medicare, everything, their health insurance, dental, short-term, long-term, all of those insurances. And the understanding that we have from FEMA is that if the costs were to change after the application has been awarded based on a CBA, we would be able to submit a revision to FEMA for them to adjust course. So it would still remain 100% covered if we were awarded the grant.
Thank you, Danielle.
All right, if we are unsuccessful in getting the grant, is there a language in here that says, well, oh yeah, sorry, I see that now. The failure to adhere. I was just gonna go ahead and say, if we don't get this grant, are we still going forward with these additional hires, if you will?
My intent is not to do any additional hiring, to keep it the way it is today.
Hey, Cole.
Yep. Go.
I want to just motion to send this to public hearing.
All right. Is there a second?
This is Elizabeth, I'll second.
Cole, I'll second that to send this to a public hearing.
All right. I heard from Elizabeth. Yep.
With one condition, there's a word missing from the warrant article. With one condition, there's a word missing from the warrant article.
Skylar, I think you're unmuted. If you could just go back on mute for a second here.
On the last sentence of that first paragraph, it should be the estimated appropriation over the next 4 years.
Thank you, Elizabeth. We'll make that change.
So I want to motion that as amended.
Great. And I'm sure Elizabeth will second.
Yeah, I'll second.
All right. Motion from Joe, second from Elizabeth. Further discussion?
Joe, second from Elizabeth.
All right. Hearing none, I'll call the roll. Skylar?
Hearing none.
Yes.
Skylar.
Bill Cordis?
Yes.
Rick Flegel?
Bill Portis.
I support fire on what they're trying to do, but I did not understand the article, so I will abstain.
All right. Joe?
Yes.
Eileen?
Yes.
Jeff?
Yes.
That is not here. And this is not here. I vote yes. Spencer Diaz?
Yes.
Richard Manzo?
Yes.
Elizabeth?
Yes.
Jared Talbot?
Yes.
Richard Fletcher? I see you're back on, Richard, but you're muted.
Richard, try hitting the space bar. See if that unmutes you. Hold it down.
How about this? Yes?
Perfect.
Okay,
Do you vote on recommending the article public hearing?
yes.
Great, thank you. Selectman Lemay?
Yes.
All right, so we're 12 to 0 to 1.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Chief. And then lastly is the library article, I believe. Is that correct, Eric?
Yes, that is correct.
My question is, will there be a budget committee recommendation on the library article on the ballot?
Yes, it is technically appropriation, even though it is 100% library trustee funds. There will be a recommendation from the budget committee.
All right. Did folks have questions there? I know that we went over that.
Hey, Cole, I guess it's not really a question. I guess like my concern is that a lot of this stuff that's been described in the article, whether it's directly being taken out of taxation or the library trustee fund, a lot of these things have already been done by the library feasibility study that we've already authorized under taxpayer dollars.
No, that's not correct.
Amy, if you just want to introduce yourself quickly, and then you can respond.
Amy Huntman, I'm the chair of the Library Board of Trustees. None of the things that are on this article have actually been done, they're not included in the feasibility study at all. This is all new, these are all different new things. The feasibility study covered whether or not we could actually build onto the 111-year-old building, and it gave us preliminary drawings, draft drawings and things like that. This allows us to work with a construction manager to get actual cost, actual plans, an actual budget. Allows us to work with a fundraiser to kick off a capital campaign to offset the cost of the full project as much as possible. And it includes geological boring and surveys and things like that. Those things have not been done, and they were not part of the feasibility study.
Can I just add too, this is Diane. The feasibility study was also paid from trustee money, and there was no tax appropriation for that either.
Other questions or comments?
Yeah, this is Joe again, Cole. I'm just looking at like I'm looking at a $4.9 million bond that originally was the goal in 2022 to pass to expand the library. Will this $95,000 help at least lower it or add in public funds or raise the money instead of completely charging that through taxation?
So the goal is, by hiring a professional fundraiser, that will give us an actual goal of how much we could raise in and around town in the community to offset. We want to offset as much as possible, but without the help of a professional fundraiser, there's no one on the board that has the kind of experience to get us there. We would be guessing, and we don't want to be guessing when it comes to that kind of money. So that the fundraiser portion of it is to offset it as much and to see what we can raise and to help the foundation that was started to do that for us. Did that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
All right, so if I heard that right, this is Jeff O'Brien. You're going to try to fundraise from the town and all the other various sources millions of dollars to help offset the costs?
We are going to try as best we can to raise what we can. Recently, and I know Diane can tell you what town it was, I know that another New Hampshire town raised $1 million towards their library addition and expansion. I can't remember which it is, but I'm sure that Diane could tell you what it is.
That was the Dayland Library in Mount Vernon.
Here's the thing that I'm just concerned about. This is Joe again. I'm just concerned that this is another step in the direction of the library coming to the budget committee asking for, you know, even if they raise $1 million, coming back at a $3.9 million ask in a bond payment to expand the library. And while I think it's important that we have a library, I guess what I'm wondering is like the services that are being provided right now, even during this pandemic, like, should this be a priority of the town?
So if I could just say that the library is currently open. We're restricted a little bit, but we're doing a lot of the same services that we have in different ways. And the people who are most affected by the pandemic are the people who need the library the most. They're the people who need internet access and who need, you know, things to do job searching, to entertain themselves, to learn things for new jobs, things like that. We offer all sorts of things to improve skills and things like that.
What was the amount of money that you requested last year for the whole project?
The amount of money last year
Yeah.
for the feasibility study was $80,000. That's not for the whole project. That was just for the feasibility study.
So was that feasibility study done?
Yes, we are currently in the feasibility study. It's not yet complete. We are coming to the end. Tomorrow, the library trustees meet and we will see and review draft concepts and sketches, including mechanicals and things like that. So we'll see even more detailed ideas and plans. And the plans that are currently available, you guys can all take a look at them. They're on the library website. There's a button on the left corner, on the left-hand side of the library page, goffstownlibrary.com, that says building addition, I think.
So, Joe, I'm just trying to understand the concern. Or would you be more comfortable, or is the concern that we're allocating funds before we know if we're going ahead with the project, or is the concern with the project itself?
My concern is that the library is going to come back with a 4.9, or even if they raise money through this fundraiser, they're going to come back with a $3.9 million ask next year. And in my opinion, I just don't think right now, like a renovation or expansion of the library is something that the town can handle given the situation. So it might not be necessarily this particular warrant article, but I will also say that hiring a construction manager and fundraiser is kind of a step in the direction of next year them coming back and asking for that money, in my opinion.
So the amount of money you're asking for now is a warrant article. It's been approved by the selectmen, right?
They voted unanimously to move it forward to the ballot, yes. And to
So that's going to go on the warrant, is that correct?
Yes.
And the voter will have the say in it?
Yes.
Okay.
Can I also say something?
Yep.
This is Kathy Coughlin. I'm a member of the ANF committee.
For the library trustees, correct?
The library board of trustees, yes. We certainly, as a board, we understand how challenging it is right now. And this is a project, as probably many of you know who lived in town, that has kind of come, installed, and started again, installed. The library has not substantially changed other than adding elevator access and renovating the 3rd floor. So adding an emergency exit, adding an elevator shaft, and renovating for more space in the attic. I think we all realize in town, there's probably never going to be a perfect time to talk about a large capital campaign. But this warrant article is going to help us get the proper footwork we need, especially with the fact that it has money for a fundraiser to give us, to help us consult, for us to learn who our possible donors are and to get us set us off. We formed a foundation to help us with that purpose. So, you know, we have been steadily working along this process. The size of our library is dramatically small for the size of our community. And if we ever compare ourselves to other departments, we serve a different need. We, as Amy said, you know, it's the folks who don't have internet at home who need us. It's the folks who can't go and buy books off of Amazon that need us. And some of those things can happen in our current library, but we also cannot expand any programming. We end up purchasing, if we purchase something, we have to let go of something, and that is not fiscally responsible. So this project is long in coming, and this appropriation is necessary information. Thank you.
Further questions?
I guess the key for me is that this warrant article that we're looking at right now is being covered by funds from the library trustees and will not have a tax impact. So, I mean, whether the town chooses to move forward with the larger project or not, I'm consoled by the thought that we're not asking people to put in tax money right now. We're letting them, they're kind of fleshing out the plans, seeing what is possible, seeing what we have, so that then whenever this comes before the voters, if it's next year or in future years, the voters have the information they need to make their decision. So without this kind of appropriation right now from the library trustees, I'm not sure what we could be asking voters. I'm not sure we'd be giving voters enough information for them to make a good decision. So I think that's why we should support it.
When you start raising funds, have you got any money towards this already?
There is currently $100 in the account, I think. There was a donation from the Friends of the Library group to the foundation. The foundation is not even, they haven't finalized their IRS nonprofit status yet. They're working on it, but that should be done at the beginning of 2021.
Very good, thank you.
All right, so as we've been doing with the other articles tonight, we'd be looking for a motion either from this committee of recommending or not recommending the article. Either way, it is going to the public hearing due to the select board recommendation, and we will have a chance to give a final recommendation after the public hearing on what will appear on the ballot.
I'll move to bring this forward to public hearing. That's Richard Manzo.
All right.
And this is Eileen. I would second that.
All right. Second from Eileen.
Cole, this is Jared. Just before we take a vote on it, that last line approved by the Library Board of Trustees, would that actually be included within the warrant article itself?
No, it would not. It would end at raised by none of said amount shall be raised by general taxation.
Thank you.
All right. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'm going to call the roll. Skylar?
Yes.
Yes. Recorded.
Yes.
Greg?
Yes.
Joe?
No.
Eileen? Eileen?
Yes.
Jeff?
Yes.
Red is not here. Dennis is not here. I vote yes. Spencer Diaz?
Yes.
Richard Manzo? I'm sorry, I didn't hear Richard. Manzo?
Yes.
Thank you. Elizabeth?
Yes.
Jared Talbot?
Yes.
Richard Fletcher?
Yes.
Selectman Lemay?
Yes.
All right, so that's 12-1. All right, thank you. And that takes us through the special articles. Next up, we have the water precincts. Richard?
Thank you, Jim and Real. The village water precinct this year, the first page, has everybody got a copy of it? Okay. The first page is our revenues. And to highlight a little bit, the revenue that we get is from the sale of the water we produce and sell to the customers. We have about 1,100 customers. This budget is to support our employees, to take care of treating the water. We have 3 employees. It's to operate a water treatment plant on the Uncanooid Mountains and to maintain 3 dams in the same location. 2 of the dams have been changed from low hazard to high hazard dams. One of the dams is an earthen dam that holds back the water at the base of the mountain, Uncanooid Pond up there. And that actually runs down through into the reservoirs. The other end of that pond goes out to a brook that the town just fixed a big a dam there. The dam that we have is an earthen dam, and it's fairly large. And all we have to do is maintain that dam, keep the brush and the roots and stuff out of it so it doesn't deteriorate. We have 2 500,000-gallon cisterns. One's on High Street, the other one's underneath our treatment plant on the mountain. And them 2 cisterns were inspected this past year for any problems. They send divers in there and they look at all the internal part of the cisterns, and they all pass the flying colors. Them cisterns are about 20 years old. We have an office on North Mass Street, around 40 acres, and down behind the offices on the Piscataqua River, there's a big, there's 2 pumps that pump out of an aquifer. The aquifer starts at Parker Station Road and goes all the way to Main Street. It has an enormous supply of water. In fact, this summer in the dry spell, we used 1 pump, and the water that we used for 1 week there had doubled in the amount of money in the amount of water we ever pumped. So as you can see, that cistern is a lifesaver, because during them dry spells, them reservoirs are pretty low, and they wouldn't today supply the town. So the forefathers back in the 50s knew what they were doing, I guess. We have 3 vehicles. We have 3 generators that back up our pumps, our plant on the mountain. And 1 generator is used at at a remote location where we have separate wells that feed 40 house development. Plus, we also maintain and service the sewer systems for the buildings, which is each has a septic tank, and they have they have pumps in the tanks that pump the water into two big leach beds. The mountain, we have 600 acres, and we're responsible for maintaining that. Some of it is conservation in the state of New Hampshire, and we use that land to for the runoff for our reservoirs. And every 4 or 5 years, we cut it off, a certain amount of it, and it's all done by a forester that we hire that maintains and tells us what we need to do there. So having said most of that, I think I'll go right to that income line, and to it's pretty much the same. You'll notice that the water charges went up, and we have increased our rate by 5%. It was 2 years ago that we last increased it. And like everything else, the cost to maintain all our equipment and to treat the water and everything is changing from year to year, and the costs are going up. We have in that income line, if you go down to the Fema Grant, which is the last line before savings interest, you'll see a $292,500 figure there. That's a grant that we've applied for and been told that we have it. It isn't official yet, but it's in our budget, and we're going to have to match that by that total grant was $460,000. We have to match it with $168,000 to do the project, and the project is to repair the dam on the upper reservoir. That reservoir is out of service because of some problems with the front part of it, with all the fillers. We gotta take all the trees out and do a lot of filling in there and do a little pipe work and extend the outer corners of the dam to reinforce it, and that's to the state standards. We got to meet their standards with this grant. Other than that, that income line has not changed very much. If you take that amount of money out of it, it's only $20,000-$30,000, and that $20,000 or $30,000 is to repair the roof on our buildings on North Mass Street. The office re-shingled the roof and the garage. Other expenses in this budget is over Mount Laurel, which is over off from Shirley Hill Road. There's that area where it started out as 20 homes, there's 40 homes now, and it's been about 25 to 30 years. It has a big water tank, and the water tank needs to be cleaned and lined, and that's a $60,000 project. Not only does it need to be cleaned and lined, but there needs to be some control work with the pumps, and there's 2 pumps over there that need to be serviced and brought up to standards. They're getting old and they're starting to bother.
Great. Did folks have questions for Richard on the budget?
Yeah, so I guess that pretty much tells you what it's all about. If there's any questions, I'll try to answer them. It may take me a few minutes. I may have to go get the answer somewhere.
Hey, Cole.
Yep.
Do we have to motion to move this to public hearing?
Derek?
We don't.
Yes, I would say the budget committee does have oversight on both the village water precinct and Grasmere. So as you did with the school in town, it would be appropriate to send them to public hearing.
Can I motion to do that, please?
Great. So motion from Joe. Is there a second?
Second it.
All right.
I got it, Cole, if you need it.
All right. I heard Richard Fletcher. I'm just not sure on it being your budget, so I'm going to take Selectman LeMay second on that, if that's all right. All right. And just for newer members, nothing comes from taxation for this budget. It's all funded by the ratepayers, correct?
That's right.
All right. So any further questions here? All right. Hearing none, we'll call the roll. Skylar?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Greg?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Eileen?
Yes.
Jeff?
Yes.
Is not here. Dennis is not here. I vote yes. Spencer Diaz?
Yes.
Richard Manso?
Yes.
Elizabeth?
No.
Jared Talbot?
Yes.
Richard Fletcher?
Yes.
Selectman LeMay?
Yes.
All right, so we're 12-1. And then the Grasmere Village Water Precinct. Is there anyone on?
No, they had a regular meeting this evening, so they are unable to participate this evening.
Did folks have any questions or concerns there? Looking over that budget.
Derek, do you know what the rate increase is?
I think it was in their narrative. Let me pull it up real quick. Give me just a second. So looking at their narrative that was sent out to the Grasmere Water Precinct resells water purchased from Manchester Waterworks. Manchester Waterworks instituted a 3% rate increase, which would increase their cost of water. I'm just trying to see. It doesn't indicate a rate increase because they have additional water income due to an increase of completion of 14 new condominium units and addition of the the Goffstown Sports Complex field, as well as anticipation of the new car wash complex on Mast Road. So there's nothing in their narrative that says that they are going to be doing an increase to their ratepayer, to their rates that they charge.
All right. Yeah, Derek, just seeing the transfer from unassigned fund balance, do you know how much do they carry a UFB like the town does?
I would have
Or is that just a
to,
yearly?
yes, I believe they do, but I would have to get an answer on that. I don't have that information, and I can have that for the public hearing if you'd like.
That would be appreciated. Thank you. All right, would be looking for a motion here if there's no other questions.
The cost of water to Manchester Waterworks. The Manchester Waterworks, it says they increased their Manchester Waterworks instituted a 3% rate increase on October 1st of 2020. The additional of the major account is expected to increase our cost of water by $15,000.
Yep. Do we have a motion here to move it to public hearing?
I'm moving the public hearing.
Great. Motion from Richard. Fletcher, is there a second?
I'll second it, Cole.
Great. Second from Selectman Lemay. Further discussion? All right. Hearing none, I'll call the roll. Skylar?
Yes.
Bill Cordis?
Yes.
Greg Flegel?
Yes, sir.
Joe?
Yes.
Eileen?
Yes.
Jeff?
Yes.
Fred is not here. Dennis Lynch is not here. I vote yes. Spencer Diaz?
Yes.
Richard Manzo?
Yes.
Elizabeth?
Yes.
Jared Talbot?
Yes.
Richard Fletcher?
Yes.
And Selectman Lemay.
Yes.
All right, pre-unanimous. All right, so we're finished on our business here. Public hearing, I don't think I've gotten back to Catherine on what's been drafted yet, but I believe we're looking at a January 12th date and a 14th snow date. Am I remembering that correctly, Derek?
Yes, we would be holding the public hearing on Tuesday, January 12th. Working with Scott Gross and the town, we feel that we could hold that public hearing in the Goffstown High School gymnasium while maintaining appropriate social distancing. And then we would have a snow date set up in the public notice for Thursday, the 14th. Both of those would be at 7 p.m.
Great. My question, there's no guidance from the state at this point about remote participation in that meeting for folks, is my understanding.
Correct. There's, we have had a handful of public hearings with the select board during the COVID pandemic, but that was while the select board was actually meeting remote. So the public was able to participate remotely by calling in. The school and the town is proposing an in-person meeting with social distancing, and that would be the opportunity for people to participate would be at the meeting place.
Hey, Derek and Cole, let's Derek, if you want to follow up with me, let's like talk tomorrow because I'd be happy to reach out to the governor's office about more guidance about that.
Okay. Thank you.
Great. All right. So folks want to just pencil that in on their calendars. We would need a quorum in order to make recommendations for the ballot. So if you think that's going to be an issue, please let me know in advance, but we're looking at the 12th.
I don't think that I would go to that meeting, Cole.
Great.
Given the situation that we have right now, because I can't afford to catch something because of my medical conditions.
I think if everybody can reach out to Cole and let him know whether or not you're comfortable meeting at a socially distanced meeting with masks, if every member individually can reach out to Cole so he can start to get an idea of what he would have for public part or from budget committee participation, that would help us greatly with planning of the hearing.
All right. So we'll all be in touch on that. And there's nothing else. A motion would be in order.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion from Selectman Lemay.
This is Jared. I'll second.
A second from Jared. I'll call the roll. Skylar.
Yes.
Bill Cordis.
Yes.
Rick Flegel.
Yes.
Joe. Joe. Didn't hear anything. Eileen.
Yes.
Jeff.
Yes.
Fred is not here. Dennis is not here. I vote yes. Spencer.
Yes.
Manzo.
Yes.
Elizabeth.
Yes.
Jared Talbot.
Yes.
Richard Fletcher.
Yes.
Selectman Lemay.
Yes.
All right. Thank you. And have a great holiday, and we'll be in touch on the public hearing.